hello, Rise and Thrivers. How are you? Let me tell you about Rise and Thrive. Rise and Thrive Together is a vibrant community committed to educating, empowering, and equipping you to get the results you want through real talk, real actions, real results. We are so excited to be here with you tonight, Reg and I. We do have some news. Our guest was having some technical difficulties and will not be joining us tonight, but it's all good. We will reschedule him. And in the meantime, you get your two favorite people. So we're all good. Hey, Reg, how are you? How was your weekend? How was your week? What's going on?
Hey, sis. Hello, Rise Drivers. Thank you so much for joining us today. Well, this evening, to be honest, in our time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for some of you, it might be, morning or the next day. How was my weekend? When you want to say vision in action, sis, it was like one of those vision in action. This was around community of personal with regards to relationship with our daughter and husband and wife and what it's like to be in community with other families, right? So we had two birthday parties back to back, Saturday and then one on Sunday. And so it was really exciting to be with different groups of families and their children. And so when it comes to community, that's one of my jams, one of my favorite things. And so the first birthday party was one of the first mom groups that I really was involved in. Because if you guys don't know by now, and my sister does know, that I also teach a lot of fitness classes, and one of them is called Zumbini. So that's a caregiver and me class for newborns up until the age of 4. And so this mom was one of my first, groups of moms, and both of her kids came through my program. And, so now we do all those birthday parties. And here's the cool part about this community was she got the movie theater to ourselves. So we got to watch the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, movie that was so, by the way, for adults, like for adults. If anybody liked them when you were a kid, this is definitely that movie for adults that has some great one-liners. And if you're a 90s person like me, I grew up in the 80s with the music, but 90s music was off the hook. So it was hip hop, rap, some great, I'm downloading the album. That's how good the music was.
Wow.
So had a great time. And then Sunday was in a new moms group for me for the past 4 years. And I know that seems like, maybe not so new, but it is. And that was a pool party. And I don't know
Okay.
if you guys know how that weather is, but it's been in the 90s, but I had a nice breeze. The pool was not heated, so it was nice and cool. And I get to make a new mom friend where now my daughter and her are going to be what they call pen pals. So she wanted our address, and they're going back to old school. They're going to write each other letters and put them in the mail. So we're here on social media being all cool with Restream and going on our things, and they want to be pen pals. So
That's so awesome.
yeah,
That's so
like
awesome.
that's just the power of community and having, my time to have my vision in action with regards to moms and my community and my husband and meeting the dads and having my daughter go back to old school vision in action, which is where we wrote letters to each other, right? And now I don't even know how much a stamp costs. So I have no
Wow.
idea.
That's all right. Just get the first class.
Exactly.
That it doesn't even matter. Get a book of stamps. But this month, our theme is vision in action. And so I'd like to talk about, I want to know your thoughts on clarity and how clarity drives action.
Mm. You want my thoughts? Or you want everybody else's thoughts out there?
Well, I want yours. Everybody else is going to jump in, but I want to know your thoughts on clarity and how that drives action.
So the first thing when you say to clarity for me is, like first of all, we have this thought, right? And then all of a sudden that thought sort of expands. And I've got this perfect example, rise and thrive together. You and I kind of had this thought about working together, about, kind of collaborating and partnering up to do something. And I think the more and more we spoke clearer and clearer. So you can have this vision,
Hmm.
but there are a whole whole bunch of steps, and you really got to stop and say, like, right, I'm speaking for myself. What do I really want to do? Bringing this sort of like event into fruition. You know, I'm an event person, but then I want to get clear. What type of event? What type of people do I want it to be for? Really,
Right.
my whole intention around that. So there's a lot when it comes to, you know, a vision coming into fruition. The more clear you get, the more intentional you get about what do you want to, from one your own, from your own heart, what do you want out of it? Then how do you want it, the message to be relayed out to others? How do you want others to be a part of it? What is the overall, you know, goal at the end of it? You know, it is very meticulous. It is a structure. There are a lot of structures in place. It's sort of not like, hey, let's have a talk show and, you know, let's have a webcast and just go out there. You and I spoke about how we wanted this to go. Your feelings, my feelings, you know, how do we want to invite people to come in? How we're now really streaming it toward each month with a theme and inviting people and having them get very clear about the theme and making sure that they speak on behalf of the theme, letting them be themselves, but like being a part of that. So that's what comes up for me for clarity.
Okay. And I think when I think of clarity, I think, like you said, you've got to be really, really clear. And part of being clear is having like a roadmap. I see clarity as a roadmap. That's
Yes.
what's going to lead and guide you. I think we talked about it either last week or a couple weeks ago when I mentioned what's your goal, what's your vision that you have, and you work backwards from that vision to where you're standing and where you are today, because that'll help you see the steps. And the reason why is if you start from where you are, it's hard to see all the steps that you'll need in order to reach your vision. But when I have my vision, I work backwards. I can see, what do I need? What's the second to last step to me reaching that vision? What's the step prior to that? And so on and so forth, that'll take me to where I am. So when I think of clarity driving action, that's how I see it. It has you with a roadmap. This weekend I was speaking with someone who wants to have their own business, and I said, that's great. What differentiates you from everyone else that's doing the same thing? And they didn't know. Now, how many of you out there, when you have a vision, you're not really clear about what differentiates you from everyone else? And that's whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're an employee or whether you're self-employed, a business owner, investor, wherever you fit into that quadrant. What is it that differentiates you? And then what's your plan of action? Notice it's just not a plan, it is a plan of action. In order to bring your vision to fruition, there's got to be a plan of action. And clarity is one of those. You have to be clear. Do you have to be crystal clear? There may be some things you'll miss and some variables that you didn't see. Okay. But the reality is, you need to be clear on your vision and also incorporate community. Community is going to help you along the way. It's impossible to start a business and not tell people about it unless the business is a spy. Then you're not supposed to tell people. But if you are not creating the business of being a spy, be very clear and invite people into it. Not everyone's going to be happy for you. That doesn't mean you don't invite and you don't speak about it. Okay. Now let's talk about inspiration and motivation. I've got some words today that go along with vision. How do you see inspiration and motivation playing a role when it comes to vision in action?
Mm,
Try
inspiration
to be
and
quiet tonight.
motivation. It
Don't be
is for the
quiet there,
quiet
audience.
people.
We want you to jump
Absolutely.
on in. And how do you see inspiration and motivation? So,
Here's
sis,
my
how do you see
inspiration.
this?
Ready? Come on over. Come on in, everybody, for the first time. There's my inspiration right here. My inspiration
Hi,
for my
Lexi.
vision is that is Raquel. My inspiration for my vision in action, everything for me has to do with her. You know, this isn't just about me. This isn't just about my husband Josh and I, but she is the next generation. She is the generation, like now at this moment, that where is my legacy going to be left? And she inspires me. People think little 7-year-olds, right? Oh, thanks,
Mm-hmm.
Colonel. This is my daughter Lexi, everybody. Like, this is Lexi. And her real name is Alexina Rose, but she is the one that truly is my guide, who is my roadmap, right? She's the one who is my mirror reflection. She'll bring things to me. She hears really well and listens really well to what I'm up to, what I'm interested in. And she inspires me. She inspires me the way she plays, that she's really great to play by herself. She inspires me the way she, has her own artistic qualities, that she has that. So that helps me. Then what am I, really love to do artistically? And that for me is, absolutely inspiring me in my dance, inspiring me in my singing, inspiring the way that I want to be a leader for other peoples in the community. And also, motivation. She motivates me because the bottom line is, you guys, if you have a kid, and you're definitely a kid turning 7, you don't get to sleep in. You just don't. So for anybody who knows, I might be able to call you like way earlier or text you way earlier that you might not be sleeping in. And so
Right.
she gets me up and moving and grooving. So I didn't
Okay.
know exactly how I wanted to respond to that, but like, hey, God brings me exactly who it needs to be. So she is definitely one of those people. And then especially there are books and there are people that I follow that also inspire me. And I'm not talking about, sure, I can say Oprah inspires me. She does, right? I could say Michelle Obama inspires me. But everyday people that I love on social media, everyday people that are posting what we're, like very similar stuff that we're up to on Instagram, on TikTok. People are out there really, just sharing their heart, being authentic and sharing what they're up to, and especially all of those things that are really difficult and what they're going through. And that, and has me continue to be inspired to my vision. Like,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, I'm about, people don't need to feel, be alone and feel like they're not seen or heard, that they have to do it all by themselves. So that's what I would say.
I've got a question. As you were talking about Lexi and how she's your inspiration and your motivation, what if there was no Lexi? What else would it be or would it take for you to be inspired and motivated to have your vision go into action?
Yeah, I mean that's been, before Lexi, you've known me for a long time. We're talking pretty much what, I'm 55 years old, and so I've been on this inspiration and, motivation because I'm committed. Yes, you can. Go for it. She's like, "Can I watch YouTube?" And I'm like, "Yes, you can."
Only if you're
Um,
watching us, Lexi. Outside of that, no.
Do you, Raquel? She's bringing it right in. She's getting it right involved. Yeah. So all of the it is for me. So you and I have talked about vision boards, and so one of the vision in action. I'm a visual person, so I create a vision board. Right. So I have that on my mirror, and we're up to doing more, and that inspires me. That keeps me motivated because you said to me before the show, I'm tired. Right. Like, I'm tired,
Yes.
but we have. So what is that thing that brought you here? Because one is we made a commitment to one another, right? We made a commitment to one another. We have accountability to one another. So, of course, if somebody's sick and, they really have to handle, or something that she's out doing a
Right.
show, something else. But yeah, it's that I have to visually kind of see it. And then I ingrain it in my heart. I'm taking a lot of Raquel now. I'm speaking out loud to myself a lot. I write it in my journal a lot. If it's, I know I'm in a marriage, so sure, that absolutely pull something forward. But even before that, it's, it is basically me, and who do I want to be, and how do I want to live my life, and what do I want to make that impact with my
Mhm.
voice in the world. And so I constantly have to pull myself and ground myself to what brings me joy, what really makes me happy, what do I really want to do. So it's always back to me, because at the end of the day, that's all there really
Mhm.
is. and I'm connecting to myself and really, I want to live a bigger life. I mean, I love my life. I love everything about it. Now being with you, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and more exciting, exciting, exciting.
Did y'all
So
hear that, folks? Because I'm in her life, it got bigger. I just want y'all to know that's what I heard. I don't know what y'all heard, but it's all good.
the Academy Award will go God, my daughter, my husband, and Raquel.
Thank you. And we've got a couple of comments. Let's jump over here. Hi, Odelia. Thanks for joining us. Joanna, inspiration comes from the depths within, but motivation is an external stimulating force. Okay, I like
Yeah.
that. The psychology person in me wants to go and say, but what about internal and external motivation? Motivation can be internal as well.
Yep.
But you're absolutely correct. Odelia is talking about beautiful. I'm assuming she's speaking of Lexi because there are tons of people that gave Lexi a shout out. Lexi's like a rock star here. Carl, hi, Carl. So nice to virtually meet you. I was going to say see you, but I can't. Carl says there is so much surrounding dreams, goals, and visions and how they all tie together. And how do they tie together, Carl? Can you drop that in the chat for us? Tell us how you see that all is tying together. And for me, inspiration and motivation as it relates to vision and action, a compelling vision is going to fuel your passion,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's going to fuel your motivation. But if your vision is not strong enough, kind of like we were talking about your why, if your vision is
Exactly.
not strong enough, it's wishy washy, it's namby pamby, it's kind of like it fluctuates, it blows in the wind like tumbleweed. Your motivation is not going to be there to see that to fruition. Can somebody refute that in the chat for me? Because I would love to have that conversation with anyone. Your vision is going to drive your motivation on those days where you're just like, I'm tired. I don't want to go anymore. I don't want to do this. When you think about your vision that you want for yourself, for your family, that will motivate you to get up. Not that you ignore the tiredness. Now we get into self care,
Yes.
right? So we need to be very mindful that if we're kind of wishy washy and our vision isn't all that, it impacts your inspiration and it impacts your motivation. Hey, Carl, they're all necessary to achieve the end result. You've created an, I lost it. You've created an intro program to help people get started. Awesome. Carl is promoting himself and putting in a shameless plug. I absolutely love it. Thank you,
Love
Carl,
it.
for doing that. Absolutely. Tell us your program, Carl. It's all right. Give us the name of it. Now, what about priorities, sis, and vision and action? How do you see setting priorities as a role or a part of vision in action?
I got distracted with Joanna's vision drives the
Don't get
motivation.
distracted with Joanna. Your number 4 person in your life is here. And what did Joanna say? Joanna says, yes, vision drives the motivation and compels you forward, drawing you toward your desires. If y'all don't understand by now how important it is to have a vision, I mean, have you not been listening? Otherwise, what is it that drives you? What is it that motivates you? Joanna used the word desires. And Regina and I are here laughing, having a good time, and we're chatting. But there's so many people that don't have a vision. They don't know how to create a vision. They don't know what a vision is. They may think of it as a wish. So I can stay here and wish that something would happen. I wish my husband would knock on the door. I wish I were a billionaire because I don't do that M. I don't want to be millionaire. I want to be a billionaire. And there's a song that says, I want to be a billionaire so freaking bad. And I'm like, yes, but not because of my own selfish needs. It's for me to be able to help other people. Right. So, sis, let's talk about this. Let me jump in here. Carl answered. Carl told us about his business, Goal Setting Simplified.
And Johnny has a
Johnny
copy.
has a copy. Girl, I had to get real close to the screen there for a minute because I couldn't see what that said. But okay. Goal Setting Simplified. That's tremendous. But sis, if someone doesn't know about visions, you and I talk about it. We've been talking about it for most of August, and we'll continue next week with our final guest for August. But if someone doesn't have a vision, and listeners and viewers, drop it in there. How do you tell someone about a vision and how do they create one?
Well, it's interesting when you use the word vision, right? There's so many ways that you can think about vision, right? The first thing I'm like, how do I tell someone about a vision? I see a crystal ball, you know? So I'm going to say it's simplified because we're real talk. Like, listen, guys, what do you want for yourself and your life?
Mm,
Like, I like the goal simplified, right? Like, what is that you want for yourself? And that's where people are like, I don't know. Like, and I'm going to like say to you, yeah, you do.
mm.
And what stops you from saying it? We've talked about that,
I
right?
like that one.
Like, what stops you from saying? Like, I would say, having that album. Joanna, yeah, I'm going out here. Joanna knows, as someone who is a creative artistic expression person, is I've had an album for 10 years, right? So it was a goal 10 years ago and went boom, connected my people. They kept me held accountable. It pulled from my heart, right? And it's called I Am Home. And then I had songs co-written and I sang them live, and I have not completed that album, right?
Hmm.
My producer passed away, and that boom, that goal like just broke me. And then other circumstances got in the way. And I honestly have not talked about that. But being in community and having people like you and people like Joanna and other people just be like, so, what's that thing that you really have secretly, if you sit quietly in your heart, that you really, really want to do? Like, you
Hmm.
really want to do, and you just are too afraid to say it, or like, you know, you're not saying it out loud, and then you can come up with all the reasons why. And that was the one, like to complete this album and have it not out for like, sure, for the world, but for myself. But I didn't have that compelling piece of it. I didn't even know what I didn't even know what I didn't even have know anymore. I lived in a circumstance. I lived in a circumstance, a real sad place of my producer passed and no one's going to be like him and so on and so forth, until I met other people in the community like Joanna, who like has me motivated. Now, I've taken some steps by talking to her. She's got some ideas for me, and I'm now taking the biggest step by saying it out loud to public.
Mm.
We're on the Roku television show that has 50K subscribers. So guess what? It is that. And now the thing that doesn't have it happen, and I'll assert for most people, is that there's some kind of limiting belief there. It's too hard. It's going to be too much money. I don't have time. I'm not good enough. My songs aren't good enough. Those songs are 10 years old. I'll never find the right producer. Can we like make the list? You can see where it
Yeah.
happens. And so that's like, one is when you're going back to the question, what is that? Like, put your hand on your heart, be quiet, say it
Hmm.
out loud, write it in a book. But I'm clear there's every single person who listens and is watching the replay. There is something you truly want
Yes.
to do. You want to do it. She said billionaire. How many of you listening here, drop it in here, who are watching it, putting in the chats, or right, hashtag replay. Yeah, I want that butt. Like, I know her. She says billionaire and she's not joking.
And I'm not stopping, believe me when I tell you that. And I'm
So,
not relying on lotto or mega
yeah.
bucks or whatever
So I
it's
have a
called.
question for you, sis, because now this is going to get to the next level of that. So here you are with your, I'm a billionaire. I don't say the M word. I don't say millionaire. And like, you may or you may not get to that, right? So how do you keep that? Because we don't know, like we know, like there's an intention of like her, why is that strong? Like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I got a big life and I got a ton of things in life that I want to make a difference on this planet for. She's got it.
Absolutely.
And like, so what's the thing that keeps that moving for you? And how do you kind of work through those limiting beliefs when you're like, what happens if it doesn't? Like, that what happens? What happens if? Like, what happens if? Does it really matter if you have the $1 billion? Like
Right.
that's another thing. Like, it's about taking the vision, being in action, and keep on going and going and going until I
Hmm.
die. And it may or may not happen, but it matters that I'm in action, and it matters that I'm taking action. And I'm clear that the more that it matters that I'm in action, taking action, it's going to happen. Now, $1 billion, I'm going to be straight up with you. Sounds amazing. But
I didn't
like,
say $1 billion. Let's not limit my vision
woo,
here. I
look at
said
that.
8 billion. Let's not
It's like,
vision it. Let's not limit it. But let's get here, and then I'll answer your question.
yeah, yeah.
Odelia wants a writing studio. Okay, that's awesome. She has a vision for having a writing studio. I commend that. And at some point, I'd like to borrow it, as long as it's near a lake. I need water. Joanna said, we're getting those songs out. So that is it. You've committed, and you're committed to what you confess, folks. So most people don't want to be committed. So that's why they don't say, or they don't want to share. You're committed to what you confess. Yes. So once you put it out there, guess what? It is your responsibility, and you are being held accountable to see it through. And I don't want you to think it's so serious, but let me finish and I'm going to come back. Odelia wants to write songs and sing. I'm afraid to say it out loud. I said it for you. Odelia said she wants to write songs and sing. She is no longer afraid to say it out loud. You know why? Because she put it down in black and white, or whatever color this is on my
Adelia, we're
board here,
working together,
in
girl.
black and white. You are now committed, Odelia. You have
Here you go.
Reg and Joanna. Reach out to them. Uh, Joanna, you said, Odelia, what are you saying should I about? Should you sing? Sing, girl. Sing your heart out and write songs. I mean, come on. If they can do that song, I don't want to say what it is because I don't want to get myself in trouble. But if certain people can make songs, my goodness. Um, Joanna, I like it. Take all the actions that it takes to become a billionaire, whether you actually earn that dollar or not. You are absolutely right, because it's the action that matters. It's the action. And I see it as, I'm playing. I am having a game. I am playing a game, not having a game. I'm playing a game. Let's
Gamify.
see, can I really and truly get to these $1 billion that I want? And so I'm doing things that I enjoy. Some of the things I may not enjoy as much as others, but they take me to that same vision that I have. And so I just try it. Why do I try something I may not be enjoying? I know people say, do something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. You'll work. Don't get it twisted. You're gonna work whether you love it or you hate it. You are going to work either way, because otherwise that's magical thinking that you have, and we don't do that, right? So for me, see it as a game. I am one who strongly believes in multiple streams of income. I didn't say I was getting my $1 billion from one thing, multiple streams of income. And my end result, and what really drives me, is to be able to help other people in the community, to have my nonprofit organization where I can donate to kids, and kids should have the equipment, the tools that they need to be successful in school. Of course, they have to put energy and effort. Yes, 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 yes. But if they're online and they don't have a computer, hard to be successful when I'm online and I don't have what I need to be successful. Right. So for me, it's a game. I'm having fun with it. And even the things, the businesses that I have that I used to think were not in line with my vision, they really are. It's just in a different way. And it was on me, incumbent upon me, to see them as such and then treat them all the same way. I still get to do what I love. It's just me learning a different language, me learning about biohacking, me learning about financial investments and consulting and all the other things that I do. But for me, my vision is helping others, and that will push me every single day of the week, even when I'm tired. I started this show by telling our awesome engineer and director of communications, Kirill, that I was tired. Reg came on. I'm like, I'm tired. I'm sleepy. And no, 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 no. But guess what? I'm committed to be here. This is part of my vision. So no matter how I'm physically feeling, guess what? I am here and I'm going to show up because I'm committed to what I confess. So for those of you that don't have a vision, you actually do, like Red said, you have a vision. It's in you, but somewhere you shared it. You may have shared it with someone and they beat it down. They're like, you can't get that. You can't get $1 billion. Okay, great. Thank you for saying that. Because you know why? That drives me and pushes me harder. The thing is, and the hardest thing sometimes is to ignore the naysayers and press on in spite of.
Yep.
I think I'd written an article one time for a magazine called In spite of what it looks like, in spite of what you've seen, in spite of what you've heard, you keep pressing on and involve your community. Do you get it? And if you want to talk to us more about this, you can hit us up, email us, info@riseandthrivetogether.com. Listen, real quick, our guest next week is Juan Antonio Cervello. Now, he will be here. He's a producer, a coach, all of it. And he's also going to be talking to us about vision and action. Okay? We want you guys to get in action. And remember, together, we can rise and thrive. Till next time.